What's up, guys, and welcome back to a new video. So today is the Mysterio boss 6.3.5. We're almost at the end of this act. Let me know how you've been finding these videos, as I say in each video. But in this one, we'll be running through the counters and guide to completing these fights. The Mysterio fight is quite a difficult one. It took me a lot of tries. It's definitely one of the harder bosses. For this first Red Hulk, all his specials, or all the specials on this path are unblockable. For Red Hulk, bait that SP1 because the SP2 is a lot harder to dex than the SP1 is. He is not a very difficult defender if you don't hit his block. If you hit his block, you will take a power burn, and that will do a bit of damage. But as I said, just bait those SP1s. He doesn't have massive health, so depending on the champion that you've got, you should be able to take him down. What I will say is I've seen a few comments from you guys about how to play Null and things like that. I have taken those on board for sure, but these are obviously all old videos that I sort of recorded back to back maybe a week ago or a week and a half ago, so you won't see that sort of best way of playing him as recommended by you guys in these videos, but just know that I'm definitely taking them into account. Obviously, Null was the champ I used here. He really useful against tech champs, just a really good champ overall. But as I said, bait the SP1 and this fight should be relatively easy for you guys. As you will be able to see in this video, as in the last video, I have had a few recording issues, so you won't see all of the fights. In this, I would have missed out Iceman, Emma Frost, and Howard the Duck. All of those are SP1. Emma Frost is quite tricky to bait. Both of those are quite hard. As you can see, I got Kitty Pryde knocked out by those. Howard the Duck, again, his SP2 is much easier to dex than his SP1, and with Iceman, SP2 is much easier than SP1, but you also need a Cold Snap champ. Obviously, I had Warlock, so that was a lot easier for me. And then we go on to this Angela fight right now. And then the fights that have been missed out were Venom the Duck, so that again is an SP2, an SP1 is much easier to bait than the SP2. And then we also had a fight with Civil Warrior, who again is another champ whose SP1 is easy to have dex, but so is his SP2. So with him, it's a very easy fight, and yeah, you guys should be able to get through these. Apologies for the missing fights. However, those ones are the exact same. All have unblockable specials. Shouldn't be too tricky for you guys to take on. Nothing different to the other fights. They're just different champs. But the main reason I'm sure most of you are here, or the main thing you want to see, is this Mysterio fight right at the end. So Mysterio had a few different bits. He had a Falter debuff, or node, which was tunnel vision. So if you use the same attack 2 times in a row, he gets a Falter debuff. That can be such a pain for him because it can be really, really annoying. The best way to do it, I would say, is parry heavy, or take your Falter, get hit by, or parry him, and then hit into the Falter, and then go again, and basically keep going that way and that way. And it can be really tricky. I won't lie to you guys; it is quite a tricky fight. However, it did take me a few attempts, and I'm sure I used a few revives for it. But if you can get used to the way it's played, if you practice it a few times, as that's what I had to do, it can be really tricky. But it is made a lot easier with practice. He also gets 100% more power and an increased power gain, and then he has Matador, which means every time he throws a special attack, you get a bar of power, and it's the only way you get a bar of power. That can be really, really annoying. However, with power control champs, it can be made a lot easier. And then he also has behavior, which gives you that poison debuff. So a poison immune champ or somebody like a Warlock is probably perfect for this fight. Best counters for the fight will be champs like Domino with the Red Hulk synergy, and then Captain America Infinity War with a skill champ synergy. These allow you to miss Falters, which are quite useful. a miss counter may work, or somebody who works against Falter. So I know Professor X was somebody I was willing to take up, but then when you look further into his kit, he's not able to he's not a miss counter for tech champ, so he wasn't able to take up. As you can see, I made quite a few errors in this fight, and he gets that power. He gets quite a lot of that power, so he can get to his SP3 a bit easier and take out sort of your stronger champs. That's sort of the issues that I had with him. In the end, I sort of felt like the parry heavy might be the best way to go, but as you'll see in these fights, it is definitely a struggle. It is something that takes getting used to, and was one of the ones, or one of these, the chapters in this act that really, or not chapters, sorry, one of the quests in this chapter that really got on my nerves, and I wasn't a very big fan of, but so is the way of life, and still got to keep practicing, and eventually you'll get a lot better at the fight, and then the fight becomes a lot easier, especially if you're used to fighting somebody with a falter on, or have you come across this node before. I imagine it can be a lot easier, but it was my first time, so it was a lot trickier. We'll go on to counters for the actual whole quest, or quest as a whole. As always, Ghost is in there, or the Ghost Trinity. That she is really useful. Corvus is another one who is quite useful. As you can see, I sort of went across with Null, Rintra, or Ultron, and Warlock. They all worked really well and really nicely, so that made it a little bit easier. I feel like this was one with no, as long as you were able to deal with those unblockable specials, it wasn't really a quest specific to any certain champs. Obviously, some champs make it a bit easier than others. Champs who can block special attacks who are really good. There's not many of those, but I know Mr. Sinister, he would work. Spider-Man, Miles Morales would work. So there are champs out there who can block special attacks, and that is made a lot easier. But for the Mysterio fight, I would say the best way to go is a parry heavy. Someone like Magneto would be really useful for this fight. Obviously, I went with Ultron. Warlock, if you can get it right the first time, is made a lot easier. But as you can see now, I've sort of started to understand a bit of the way to go. Get that stun on him, and then hit him with the falter. Get it off you, and then you can basically go back with that parry heavy until you get it again. But it's definitely a difficult fight. Don't get me wrong, it is one that needs practice. But once you get used to it, as I have said multiple times this video, it is made a lot easier. Other good counters for this quest are, again, there's obviously a running sort of theme for these quests, and obviously Magneto is quite useful. Corvus, Glaive is useful, and so is Colossus. These are all, most of them are biohazard or really high damage. I know, looking at older videos, they're a lot harder to find good counters, so we really need to hear some new ones. Obviously Ultron works, Warlock works, I'm sure Gallon works for some of these fights. A Quicksilver would work, Valkyrie would work. Nimrod, I'm sure, is really good in most of these fights and really good at questing. So it's one of those quests where there is no specific counter to the challenges that come up. There isn't one person who would make it easier. There are champs out there who would simplify the unblockable specials. However, it's not worth losing sleep about. It's not too tricky. That's all I've got to say about the Mysterio quest and this 6.3.5. Again, one of the trickier bosses, so if you've got to give it some practice, go ahead and do that. Don't feel ashamed, or don't feel like I got it first time, because I definitely didn't, and I'm sure many people out there definitely didn't. Obviously, this is still just a run through of my account and my quests, my questing up to Thronebreaker. I'm hoping to get the 6.3.6 video out tomorrow as well. So, we'll complete chapter 3 by hopefully tomorrow evening. Or even I'll try a double upload tomorrow. I'm not 100% sure. I know the World Cup is on, and I'm sure people are glued to their screens for that, as I am. But I'll try and get those out. I hope these have been useful to you guys. I know they feel quite repetitive, obviously, if you're watching every single one, but they're mainly out here just to show my progress and then to help those people who, like me, have sort of come back to the game late or haven't fully got all their quests done, and they think what they need is to come back, see a couple videos, see how the fights are done, and then get on their account and go from there. Again, I apologize for the recording mishap. Don't know what's happened there. As with a future 6.4.1 video which is coming out, that Iceman, I must be Iceman, he must be freezing up my recording because it just does not seem to be working, and that is a real pain for me. But however, after that, I feel like I've got quite a steady ship going, and once we get all caught up, we should be golden and we should be back. But yeah, I'd like to apologise for that one and apologise for this video. But hopefully you got the gist of sort of what the nodes are, who the best counters are, and then how best to play this Mysterio fight. Like I said, I hope you guys enjoyed. I'll leave you to watch the rest of the fight. And that's the video. See you guys later.